Hey everyone, it's Chantal Girardi here from Online Business Marketing. And today in our mastermind, we have got a special guest here, Adam Bell from My Business Podcast, who I met at a speed networking event a couple of weeks ago. We had a chat. I went on his podcast. So if you haven't had a chance to listen to that yet, be sure to jump onto My Business Podcast and look for my name. I think it's called the Hand Holding Marketing Consultant. So maybe look out for that. I'll share the link in the notes as well. And you can have a little listen to that. But today you can actually learn more about what he does and explore the benefits of podcasting, explore how it can actually grow your business, the benefits of it, the best practices of it. But most importantly, how can you repurpose the hell out of the content so that you have more and more and more and more and more high quality, relevant content that can help you stand out and really make your life easier online? Because you know I'm all about being easy online. So I'll hand it over to Adam. You can introduce yourself and go for gold.
Thank you, Chantal. Thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here, and looking forward to hopefully giving you all some insights, as Chantal said, about podcasting and how it can actually be of benefit to your business. So I will share my screen here. Should it be working? No, it's not. It says, oh no. Who can share? All participants. Oh, I'm a host now. So no, that's not working. Do you need to change that, Chantel?
It usually works. Who can
here we go.
share?
Here we go. Okay.
Do you have a man look?
I did. It was a man look. So there we go. That should be up there for everybody now. So,
yes, it is.
Podcasting has become huge. It really has. I mean, you hear about it. You hear about it everywhere now, and you hear about everyone being on them and listening to them. And there's many reasons for that. Not only in business, but they're done for just about every topic known to man now. So there is a reason everybody is doing it. So I don't know whether I properly introduced myself there at the start with my technical glitch, but yeah, I'm Adam Bell, and I'm the producer of My Business, Australia's small business podcast. So look, as I mentioned, the popularity of podcasting has just absolutely exploded. I'm sure everyone here has listened to a podcast. I listen to them regularly, but had you asked me maybe 2 years ago, I wouldn't have listened to one. 78% of Australians now listen to online audio content. So look, that's 4 out of 5 people who are now going to podcast platforms to listen to podcasts. 82% of marketers plan to invest the same or more on producing audio and video content in 2023. And a lot of that comes again from podcasting. I'll talk about the benefits of video from podcasting too, because I think all of us generally think audio when you hear the word podcast. But hey, I mean, you will have all seen, especially on social media, the short clips where you see somebody there with their headphones on, talking back and forth with the mics in front of them, and that's coming from podcasts. So video is a huge part of podcasting now. And 54% of consumers say that they're more likely to consider brands that they've featured on a podcast they've listened to. So look, that's just 3 stats. If you go and look online, there are a lot that will blow you away on just how popular podcasting has actually become. And there's a reason for it. Podcasting provides a platform to make your business and anything you're talking about to stand out from the crowd. Now, all of you guys own your own small business, and you would all have a reason why you believe your business offers exceptional value to your customers. You'll have a reason why you think you're better than your competitors. You'll have a lot of reasons why your customers should use you over the next person. But it's quite hard to get that message out in normal ways of marketing. I'm sure you'd love to be able to sit every client down and have 5 to 10 minutes to talk to them, to show them you, to show them and to talk through every aspect of why your business is what it is. A podcast allows you to do that. It allows you to tell the full story, and to get out all those little pieces of information that you can't get across in just 10 or 20 seconds. So that's why a lot of people are using podcasts to get their message out. You might have many aspects to your business. We've got someone who's doing pest control there. So with that, you could break that up into all the services you've got into a podcast episode on each area of the business and why that's important. Why you need to get termite checks every 6 to 8, 9 months, so it's become huge, and that's the reason why. And the other reason why is it's on demand. We live in an on-demand world now, don't we? I mean, I think most of you, probably my generation, when we grew up, television or radio, if you wanted to watch something, you had to go there at the time it was on. Does anyone remember Country Practice? It was Tuesday night and Thursday night at 7:30, and you had to be there to see it, or you missed out. But the world has changed. I mean, who watches live TV anymore unless it's sport? You look at this as a great example of podcasting and on-demand content. Even radio stations now are recording their announcers doing their morning show or their drive show and putting it up there as a podcast, again with their advertising, because they know there's not many people listening live. So they want that opportunity for it to be there, to be able to be searched, to be able to be listened to, and still get their advertising revenue from people listening to it when they want to listen to it. So look, podcasting is like audio Netflix. It's there for anyone to listen to at the time that suits them. And a bit unlike Netflix, it's very easy from all the platforms to share any podcast that you've been on, through a message, through Facebook Messenger, all of that, which gives them a direct link. They jump in the car, press a button, and they can be listening to your podcast really, really easily. So a podcast, as I said, allows you to show the world your personality, your energy, and your passion. Again, something that normal marketing doesn't allow you to do. When you're just putting out the benefits of your business, that your services, that doesn't allow them to show you who you are and why you're the best in the business and your passion for what you do, because we all have a passion around our own business, don't we? And through a podcast and video and your voice, you get to project that to your customers and whoever gets to listen to it. As I said, once you've distributed it out there, and there are that many platforms that you can get it onto, and with our My Business podcast, we put it onto all these and a couple more. It's there forever, and is able to be accessed forever. So there's a reason everybody's doing it. So our platform is Podfire, but the main ones you probably know are Spotify, Google, Player FM, and Apple, and of course YouTube as well for videos. So and you can put them onto all of these very, very easily and get it out everywhere. But as I alluded to, look, podcasting is not just about the audio. It's a lot more about the video these days. And you'll see that most podcasts generally do include video, because that is where you actually really do get to connect with the human being that is behind the business or the sport or whatever else they're talking about. So video is a major part of it. But I want to come back to something Chantel mentioned earlier now. When thinking about podcasting for your business, there's a couple of options, but which I'll run through. But essentially, your first thing you need to decide is, would you like to be a guest on podcasts and go and be able to talk about yourself and your business and whatever topic that podcast is having you on for, or do you want to have your own podcast series? or both. And there's benefits to either of those. And you've got to decide what's right for you. I guess in terms of being a guest on podcasts, that could be, I guess, a little easier in that you can go searching and looking for podcasts for you to be on. Most podcasts are looking for guests that fit their topic. And that allows you to go on and be interviewed and, allow the information to flow, freely. Or you can become a storyteller and have your own podcast. But with that, you really do have to have a strategy. You have to map out what your episodes are going to look like, map out the message you're trying to get across. And like anything, start with the end in mind. What do you want to achieve from this? What is the end goal, and work backwards. And that will generally give you your plan. We offer, and whoever you get help with to do podcasting, they can often help with strategy and sitting down. We did a couple with a couple of clients last week, and have come up with some absolutely cracking ideas for businesses that don't necessarily even sound that exciting. So don't ever think well, my business isn't that exciting. I don't know how I would do a podcast series. There's always an angle. Like we're doing a property manager, so we're going to do things like the worst house she's ever seen in terms of walking into to do a house inspection. The time she almost got attacked by killer dogs. There's all sorts of engaging content while then relating that to the message of the business. But look, what I really think is one of the major benefits of podcasting, it's something we do with my business, is that it provides the perfect vehicle to create social media ready, what we call content at scale. And what Chantel used the term repurposing. Every time you do a podcast, it will create absolute gold that you can then use on social media to market your podcast for people to listen to, or more importantly, your business, to generate new leads, to generate new customers. So every time we finish a podcast, we go straight to work to go back and start having a very close look at it, to find those little snippets, those little sound bites that perfectly embody what your business is, why you do it, and why somebody should use you. So, we all live on our phones now. We all get caught, don't we, on those videos, those short videos, the reels, the stories, where suddenly you realise you've been there half an hour and you've watched, 30, 60 of the things. So podcasts are absolutely fantastic for creating videos and audios and even pictures that fit perfectly to come up on socials. To do that, and that's the brilliant thing about podcasting, the amount of media that you can actually create from it to then market your business. Because it's amazing what comes out from a business owner when they're talking about their business, when they're given permission to do so by a host, where you're not trying to sell the host anything. You're just passionate about what you do and why you do it. You hear a lot about these days about the why. What the why is so important. A podcast is a great chance for you to get your why out there. And that's generally what we will find when we create these pieces of media. And then, of course, you've got, you're able to get this out into so many places. We've got the 5 main social there, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and of course TikTok nowadays. All of these are created to go specifically onto all of those platforms. So you can be using all of your media that you create from your podcast to create your social content for the next, do a podcast and use it for the next month. And of course, you've got that can do one of two things when people see it. They can either drive you straight to your business as a new lead or a new customer, or hang on, that's just sparked something in me. I want to listen to the podcast, where you get to give your complete message. Give you a couple of examples of a bit of media we've produced from our podcast, and just how professional it comes out as well, because we use HD cameras, and obviously the the digitally mastered audio. This is Ray. He owns a limo company. It's Our Driver VIP Transfers, and so it's a couple of big fancy limos. The lights, the champagne, and everything in there, the music. So he drives occasionally. This is him talking about what he wears, depending on as a driver, depending on who the client is in the back seat. Now, just make sure we've got the sound shared. There we go.
So I ring in a book, and this, we see this big car pulls up the road.
Yep.
Yeah. You're in a suit, or what are we rocking?
For me personally, it's like however I dress is how I'm gonna be. So if I've got the tie, then I'm gonna be a lot more professional. If it's just a non-collared top with a suit jacket on, it's a little bit more casual, but still keeping that,
Still keeping the professionalism.
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
So it's a hen's night. What are you wearing?
Mate, if I had abs, it would be like just topless.
Just a G-string, but I don't have abs, so I'm back in the suit.
Yeah.
Is that what we're doing?
It's look sharp.
Look sharp. I love that.
Yeah, so you can see there, I mean, that's just a great example of how you do get the energy, the vibe, the personality. You look at that and you just kind of think, I like the guy. And what other marketing could, you can put up a picture of a limo and all of that, but where you get that kind of feel. And we're actually now talking with Ray because he's going to do a podcast series where he tales from the back of the limo. Where he's going to get, his customers come on and talk about things that they've done and things that they've been to, and a really good angle to promote his business, because it's Our VIP Transfers that is the sponsor of this show, and so forth. So now this is a really great example. This is Ray again. This is one of our audios we took from his podcast. This actually really shows the value of, I guess, the repurposing, the finding the gold in the podcast, that can often be even more valuable than the podcast itself. So I'll explain after you've had a look at this.
There's one thing that I am actually doing at the moment, and I think it's pretty cool. So what I've started doing is dropping the red carpet. So when we pick you up, we put the red carpet
roll
down.
out the carpet.
When we drop you off, we roll out the red carpet, and the whole thing is around just that experience. And I'm asking if we can video it for our socials and things. And if you go onto TikTok or you go onto Instagram, you'll start to see some of the things that we're actually putting together with that.
So what a cool idea. And this is, one of his USPs that just came out during the podcast. Now, we, as we always do, we put these bits of media together, and we gave them to Ray, but we post them out to all of our followers as well to get more people to listen to the podcast. And it was only 3 days after we'd done that Ray gives me a call and says, I've just got off the phone with a girl who jumped on and said, hey, you're the guy with the limo and the red carpet. And it's 17-year-old girl, 6 months out from doing her formal. She wanted to be the girl who not only rolls up in the limo, but gets out on the dress with the guy in her arm, walking the red carpet up in front of her friends. Now, she was never going to listen to the podcast. A 17-year-old girl probably not going to listen to a business podcast, but that was enough. And he said he's got 5 or 6 clients from that one piece, which is what we really talk about with the content at scale.
There's one.
So here's a few examples of, again, what you'll always come out with some really fantastic information when you, as I said, given the permission to talk about you and your business. So here are some quotes, and again, very easy to put up with a few pictures. There's Ray with his red carpet again over on the left there. With the key messages that come out of it. So it's a fantastic way. The podcasting is just such a fantastic way to get the material that will get engagement online, and it's just a matter of repurposing it into all of these pieces, so that in what it takes 20 minutes or half an hour in a studio of your time, for one episode. You can create, all of that media to put all through your socials. You can then distribute your entire episode onto all of the platforms. And it's about getting, your business and your brand and your message in front of a lot of people. It's just such a good way to be able to expand your reach, especially by slicing and dicing it, as we call it, and sharing it across your social media. So I just wanted to quickly share a little bit about, because this is what we do in the My Business podcast. So we've got our professional little studio. You don't need to do that if you wanted to do your own. A lot of people just do it simply by their web camera and put their own episode together. You don't have to go to a third-party supplier to do this. This is able to be done by anyone, and even posting it up onto all of those platforms. So yeah, we've got our I've lost myself. Our studio up in Arundel. Great host, as Chantel said, with Rob, who's fantastic at. I do recommend, if you're going to consider doing a podcast, especially, you probably want your first episode to be introducing your business, being that's what you're predominantly about. Get yourself a host. It's then, as I said, it's not you spruiking your business. It's somebody asking you and giving you permission to talk about it, and it comes across so differently, and it does too when you slice it up. So we've done our research in 20 minutes unless you're interviewing world leaders or, sports stars or someone that, and you've got an audience who is absolutely engaged and wants to hear every minute. I would say no more than 20 minutes. Because that's been shown to be the right length of time, 15 to 20 minutes. That's a short car trip, but after 20 minutes, engagement does drop off the side of a cliff. Consider doing audio and video as we do, as I said, because in terms of social media marketing, you probably heard this from Chantel a million times, I would imagine, that the level of engagement goes up through audio, then video, and even with the captions of what's being said. There's a reason you see that nowadays, because engagement is when you're listening, watching, and reading what you're hearing. Again, engagement just lifts through the roof. So yeah, with My Business, we get you in. We have that host, 20 minutes. You're with us for about 40 in the studio. We create all the media afterwards. We shoot it out in front of all of our followers across all of our businesses to try to get as many eyeballs and earballs, as we call them, onto your episode and your podcast. But the beautiful thing is you get it as well to use specifically in front of your target audience. So look, that's pretty much me. I think I'm about on pretty good time, I think. Am I, Chantel?
Oh, you're a good boy. You had a boys look earlier, but you made up for it with that. So thank you.
I did. You'd think I'd be good having been on a few podcasts, but hey, look, that's another thing too. The other beautiful thing about a podcast, if you have a little slip like that, unlike Chantel, we go back and edit our podcasts and take it out and just say to the host, could you ask me that again, please?
I do have some other benefits of being in a podcast that you just made me think of.
Sure. Look, there are plenty more.
Yeah, when you don't do the video, podcast, it means you don't have to wear makeup. Not that I do, but I'm an absolute face puller when it comes to presenting and doing things. And one of the things about being in a podcast is that you can edit it because it's not live and you don't have to wear makeup. And you can talk with your hands. So you don't just, for the self-conscious person, you don't have to worry about it so much. I love what you said about the strategy. And you said it when I spoke to you the first time. And I think that's what made us click was because I'm very strategy focused, and having the end in mind is super important. And I think that's really important. And you mentioned you can either be a guest or you can have your own podcast, and they are different strategies. And for a very, very long time, I have just been a guest. But the way in order to make that beneficial is to make sure that you go out and you find the right people who have your audience, that you're not in competition with, that you can add value to and be on their podcast. And it's really easy. That is the best way to get started because they are interviewing you. They are doing all the work. So if you are new to podcasting, I'm going to highly recommend that you just go and get on somebody's podcast, but please don't get on a podcast where they're trying to piggyback off you, especially if you don't have any clients or you don't have any following. Build a relationship with someone who's got more of what you want and go over there, spend time building that relationship and getting on their podcast. And then make sure that you play the game. And playing the game is liking, engaging, commenting, tagging, repurposing, sending out in your emails. That is playing the game, because else it becomes a time-wasting activity, and time is money. It doesn't become a sales-focused activity. The other important part of a strategy, which is the end, which is always money, the strategy always has to end in money, is that in order for it to end in money, you actually have to get them off your podcast. And I think this is fundamental. So write this down right now. Like if you're starting a podcast, get on someone else's podcast. That's number one. Number two would be play the game. Number three would be get them the hell off the podcast. And that means you have to have a desirable something. And I know you have this, Adam. You have this opportunity in your podcast, but you have to send them somewhere. It has to be so desirable and juicy to the person that's on there. So don't do a cookie cutter, generic resource across all podcasts. Look at who that person is. Look at who the audience is that they've captured, and be sure to create a resource that would just be a no-brainer, where they would have to give you your email address and subscribe straight away. Free resource, lead magnet, whatever you want to call it. Get them the hell off the podcast and capture them into your network so you can continue building that relationship with them. So that would be really, 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 really important. And if you're new to podcasting as well, like Adam said, tell your story, because stories sell. Stories sell. Don't forget the left brain people, which is statistics. So adding in a statistic, and you would have seen Adam did that today. He's a good boy. But you have to, statistics and stories are important for both left and right brained people.
There's actually one thing I forgot to mention, another part of repurposing that is incredibly valuable, especially if you do a few, but even if you get on as a guest, see if you can get this from anyone you do go on, and that is to get a transcript, a text transcript of the of your podcast, because very easy then to just have a tinker with that, create a blog post for your website, which again in turn, SEO, etc. So when you think about a podcast, what I was trying to get across today is that yes, you've got your podcast, which is great, and you'll drive as many listeners there as you can. But where the value really particularly comes in is creating the media from that to be able to share and promote yourself, but then also break it down, get the text, create a blog post, put it on your website. SEO. There's just so much you get from basically half an hour of your time, and that's what's so cool about it.
Yeah, 100%. So I'll share with you exactly how I do this. So I don't have a podcast as such, but my Monday Mastermind, which is today's Mastermind, is like a 3-part strategy, which I think is amazeballs. So number one, our live audience, they pay a subscription membership in order to attend these live. And whilst they're part of the education part right now, and they're silently sitting there, at the end of the education part, the recording stops and they get to ask questions which are directly related to their businesses and what they're working on right now, and have access to both myself and any special guests that we have, plus a private Facebook group. But they have to be part of the VIP Mastermind group in order to have that. And of course, the link for that is inside at the end of these recordings and when we share them. And then the second part of that is that this educational part then goes up onto YouTube, and it goes up onto YouTube as an educational piece. And of course, YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world, but number one is Google, and Google owns YouTube. So this goes up onto YouTube. on YouTube now, we're now opening ourselves up to the whole YouTube audience. And then, of course, we take the transcription from all of this, as Adam was talking about. That then gets created as a blog. It goes onto the website with a link to the YouTube video as well for higher SEO ranking. It gets shared then across the social media platforms, and it goes out in an email to our database as well. So we take that one piece of content. I'm not going to say it just takes this amount of time. It took me an hour to prepare today's today's notes. But once we have the system and process in place now, at the end of this, my team gets the recording, my team gets everything. They just go boopity boopity boo, and it's done. So yes, you can employ then a cheap virtual assistant to do that for you, but you have to give them the strategy and the process, because you can't expect them to do that. So if you need the strategy or the process, be sure to book an appointment with me at onlinebusinessmarketing.com.au. If you'd like to reach out to Adam, his notes, his contact details will be in the bottom of the notes. So for our live audience, I'm going to say goodbye, and then we're, sorry, not a live audience, from our not live audience, I'm going to say goodbye. And for our VIPs, I'm going to say hello.